What does Adaptive do as far as that area?
You know, our strengths really lie in policy-based optimization. We've been working in the HPC realm for over a decade. One of the original players in scheduling and now workload management. We're really good at managing very large systems and making sure that they run as efficiently as possible. When you have a large system like a multi-teraflop supercomputer, you really need to make sure you're getting the most science out of that possible for your most bang for your buck. And Moab, with its workload management and policy-based optimization, makes sure that we're running that system fully utilized, that its utilization is as close to 100% as possible. And as we show on that cube, if you just let things naturally happen, you never get close to that utilization. We make sure that through policy-based optimization and smarter scheduling, that we're keeping that very expensive system fully utilized.
I see. Well, how does virtualization fit in to all of this, Jeff?
You know, virtualization is something that we're seeing more of in HPC. For several years, people thought HPC and virtualization were like oil and water, you know, and they shouldn't mix. Part of that was because early virtualization technologies had sort of a virtualization tax. The CPUs ran slower, access to I/O was slower, and people in HPC wanted high performance, right? That's the HP in HPC.
Right.
And they were typically unwilling to pay that virtualization tax. Business computing, they weren't as concerned about performance, they were more concerned about flexibility and malleability, which virtualization offered. However, in recent years, the worlds really have merged because the virtualization tax is almost gone. The technologies have gotten much better. Intel and AMD support in hardware now virtualization, so there's almost no CPU overhead as a result. And on the I/O side, they've also built technologies that allow I/O to be accessed much faster. So the virtualization tax is basically gone, and at the same time, the HPC community is starting to say, wow, we could really be a lot more flexible if we inserted a virtualization layer. We could be able to spin up new clusters or purpose-built clusters very quickly. If we wanted to compute a particular type of problem, we can deploy that particular solution on virtual hardware, retract it, deploy another set of virtual hardware that did something completely different.
Very nice. So can you give us a hint of something that might be on the horizon as far as Adapt is concerned?
Yeah, well, we in the HPC community are always thinking about bigger, better, and faster, right? That's kind of what drives our world. And Adaptive's always at the forefront of that. We run on many of the biggest systems in the world, and we see that will continue to increase. However, we also understand that not everyone is a top 100 or a top 10 supercomputing site. So for those customers, we've spent a lot of effort improving our UI, making it easier to use, making it simpler to get this high utilization out of your systems that everybody wants. Whether you have a 10-node cluster or a 10,000-node cluster, you're going to want high utilization. And we want to make that easy so that not only the geeks and the super command line wizards can do it, but someone who just wants to be able to point and click and get their scientific computing cluster running. And that's really where we see the future going. Ease of use combined with the speed and performance of the past.